Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen, and I'm here today to show you guys how to make a delicious snack, a beef jerky. Beef jerky is certainly something that's very edible on hikes and walks during the summer when it's nice and hot. I love doing this recipe, and we're doing it with flank steak. I'm going to show you the marinade, then I'm going to tell you about the flank steak. Well, let me back up. The flank steak actually should be put into the freezer for about 45 minutes or so, and that just firms it up enough to make you be able to slice it. It's a great, easy way to slice it. But in the meantime, let's make our marinade. I've got about a tablespoon of fresh ginger root. I did not peel the ginger. It's not necessary in this part. The recipe says to finely chop it, but I like to let my little food processor here do the trick. So we're going to add about 3 cloves of garlic, and we're going to add some fresh ginger. So we're going to add the garlic and the ginger to the food processor. All right, it's nice and finely chopped. To this, we're now going to add about a half a teaspoon or so of a fine salt. I'm not going to measure this. Half a teaspoon is not that hard to finger pinch. We are going to add a tablespoon of liquid aminos. Liquid aminos is basically a flavoring agent, and it is gluten-free, non-GMO, no MSG. It's actually vegan as well. It's kind of, it offers a soy flavor, for lack of a better word. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of that. We're going to add a tablespoon of maple syrup. And we're going to add a tablespoon of adobo sauce. Now, the recipe will call for a chipotle in an adobo sauce. They do have that in the grocery stores in your international section. I happen to make my own, and I make mine with poblanos versus roasted jalapenos. So we're going to add an adobo sauce to that. And you'll have to forgive me, I just realized that we actually need a little bit more of the coconut, of the liquid aminos. I think I need about 1/4 cup. So that's actually 4 tablespoons. I'm going to go ahead and do 3 more. This is what happens when you think you know a recipe by heart. So now I'm going to mix that up. I also do need to add a little bit of black pepper. Again, I'm going to pinch it, maybe, half a teaspoon or so. So the marinade is done, and now we are going to remove our flank steak from the freezer. All right, so our beef has been in the freezer for about 45 minutes or so, and beef is one of Virginia's top farm commodities. Highly recommend that you try to support your local farmers and help them stay in business. And we're going to take the flank steak that we've frozen. You want to go against the grain, and you want to go about 1/8 of an inch or so slice. Now you can see how easy it's slicing based on the fact that it's been in the freezer. I actually do the same thing with bacon when I want to dice bacon. It makes it a lot easier if you freeze it for about a half an hour. So you want a handy dandy little Ziploc bag waiting. Put your beef slices in the Ziploc bag. You want to take your delicious marinade that you've worked so hard to make. I like to use as much of that as I can. Take your little blade out. You want to be very careful taking those blades out. Pour the marinade in there. Now I'm going to seal it. Take out as much air as possible. If you roll it while you're sealing it, it makes it a lot easier. Then I'm going to come back and just massage the beef around in the marinade. And this needs to refrigerate for anywhere from 3 to 6 hours. So we'll pop it in the refrigerator, and we'll come back in a couple of hours. All right, so our beef has marinated in the refrigerator for anywhere from 3 to 6 hours, depending on what your time frame is. We're going to take it out of our plastic bag. Now, we are going to be baking it in the oven on a very low temperature, as low as your oven will go. I think the recipe says 165, Some ovens only go to 170, some go below that. But you do want it in the oven for about 6 hours. So it's a very slow bake, and it's going to be dehydrated like jerky is. One of the things I do want to talk about is, yes, it is raw meat. We're not going to reuse this bag, and we're not going to reuse the marinade because it's going to bake off. But there are a couple different ways of cooking. Culinary school, we learned that cooking is applying heat to something. So we're certainly going to be applying heat to this, but you could actually cook in an acid such as ceviche. Any sort of a citrus juice added to a fish, a scallop, or anything along those lines will cook it. In this case, when we do have a little bit of acid, we don't want it to overcook. If you leave it in the acid too long, hence more than 6 hours of marinade, it will become somewhat mushy. So you really don't want to go more than 6 hours. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it on a parchment lined tray. You can also choose a rack if you'd like, a cooking rack or a cookie sheet tray, cookie rack I should say. We're going to place it on our sheet tray, and it's going to go in the oven for about 6 hours. We hope you'll stay with us. All right, so now our beef has been in a 165-degree oven for about 6 hours. Just to recap on the ingredients, what we've marinated that in was some fresh ginger, fresh garlic. We have some liquid aminos, which are vegan and gluten-free as well. It's kind of a soy-based flavor. We've got maple syrup, and we've got an adobo sauce and a little bit of salt and ground pepper. Marinated for about 6 hours and then into a 165-degree oven for 6 hours. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley. We hope you enjoy the beef jerky recipe. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.